All right, I'll call to order regular meeting of the Chisholm City Council for December 14th, 2022. Good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas. It's looking a lot like Christmas out there today. Susan, could you take roll call?
Yes. Councilor Halverson.
Present.
Councilor McCullough-Raha.
Here.
Councilor Fountain. Absent. Councilor Lance. Absent. Councilor Mackey.
Here.
Mayor Champ.
Here. Okay, council, adopt the agenda. I'll mention you to public participants. Lisa Howard is here. She wants to talk about the new zoning map, as well as global minerals. Jim Sellner, Kate Paul. They want to address that as well, which is later on in the meeting. So we'll take them up during public participation. So motion to accept the agenda with the public participants noted.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
So council, we have an item, basically it's the first one under Mandy tonight. We're going to talk about some new zoning for the city. First up for public participation, we have Lisa Howard. She's going to come. She has some concerns about the zoning for her area. Good evening, Lisa. Come on up to the podium. Lisa also attended the planning and zoning just for...
Do I sign this?
No, we got you.
Okay. Do I have 3 or 5 minutes?
You know, it's supposed to be 3 minutes, but you know, you need to say what you got to say.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're not, you know.
Okay. Hello, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Lisa Howard, and I am the owner of the property located at 6 Southeast 1st Street. It was brought to my attention through a mailing I received informing me that the Planning and Zoning Commission has intended to rezone my property from industrial to retail. I attended the meeting they held on December 5th and questioned their reasoning for this rezoning. The reply I received from Mandy Golly was that they wanted a cohesiveness to the main street and for it to continue down to include my lakefront property from industrial to retail. Ryan Baumgart stated that there's never been any industrial businesses on the property anyway, and Adam Lance included, you're doing business as retail now, so it wouldn't change how you do business. I would like to point out that there were in fact 2 industrial businesses that had previously leased our property. One was Smart Screens, Inc. They built screens designed for appropriate taconite pellet sizing, and K2 that had vacuum trucks for cleaning mine blasting furnaces. And if you were to Google Smart Screen Systems Inc. and scroll down to Mining Life Online, you'll see that the business will still show as 6 Southeast 1st Street for Smart Screen. Those businesses were both industrial businesses. I am really not understanding how you're thinking about rezoning my almost 16,000 square foot building while there are at least 9 storefronts on the main street with much smaller footage that they have been vacant for many years. Changing the zoning of not only my property but other properties would limit the opportunity for future growth and for development of these properties. In addition, I find it interesting that the City of Chisholm approached me less than a year ago as to purchase my property and use it as a city garage. And under your rezoning, that wouldn't fit under retail. Have you rezoned the entire main street already? Has the whole main street been rezoned?
I do not know that answer. I'm assuming our main street has been retail the whole time.
It has been retail?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So would that include, that includes my apartment building for some reason, located by Adams Auto Body? That's zoned as retail?
Correct.
How is that retail?
It's a non-conforming use in the retail zone.
Provides retail services.
An apartment building?
Oh, the auto body,
A
I
lot
think.
of second-story buildings are apartments in the retail business area.
Okay.
That's a grandfathered in use in that zone.
Okay. Has the city of Chisholm or its representatives ever knowingly turned a potential purchaser of my property away by alluding to your plan to rezone my lakefront property?
I don't know that we've had anybody ask about your property.
After consulting with my attorney and in understanding how the rezoning of not only my properties, but also including the street, this will have an impact on all of us, as rezoning will significantly decrease the value of my property. For these reasons, I am opposing the rezoning.
Thank you. All right, so next we have, Jim, are you coming up, or Kate? So Jim and Kate are from Global Minerals, but they represent a lot more than Global Minerals, so I'll just turn it over to them. They're also want to speak on the same item that'll be having to do with the zoning. Good evening, Kate.
Thank you. Thanks, I appreciate you giving me time. So yeah, I want to read a short statement, and then Jim will get up and discuss some of the things he has to say. So Global Minerals Engineering, our address is 1035 7th Avenue East in Hibbing. My name is Kate Hall. I'm a project manager and environmental scientist there. Global attended and we spoke at the December 5th Planning Commission hearing regarding the comprehensive plan zoning changes. And we did submit a formal letter and map at that time as well. So Global represents private mineral interests within the Redhead Mountain Bike Park and adjacent to the proposed recreation and tourism overlay district. These interests include Pillsbury, Congdon, Langdon, Warren, Toriano, and Higgins. All of these properties that Global manages are located on the iron formation and include substantial identified iron ore resources. Our main goal is to keep these resources unencumbered. Mining on the Iron Range will continue to expand, and it will occur in the neighborhood around the recreation and tourism overlay area again. And the question is often, when will that happen? But if the resource becomes encumbered or the cost to relocate the encumbrance becomes a deterrent to mining, then the answer to that question becomes never. So we need to protect these critical iron ore resources, and on the Iron Range we produce 85% of the US iron ore pellets that are processed into domestic steel. And we're looking at billions of dollars of revenue, and that includes jobs from iron ore development that could be at risk in this neighborhood alone. So with the zoning changes adopted, Global is really just asking that any special or conditional use permit process for the overlay district include direct notification of not only surface owners but mineral owners, and also notification of other entities that would benefit from mineral extraction. So that includes the school districts, the township. And I know St. Louis County, and this is per Julie Marinucci's December 2nd letter that she sent last week. So St. Louis County is asking that you go a step further than that and consult with DNR Lands and Minerals when there's, an application for a special use permit in that overlay district. And so, when it just comes down to it, it's crucial that, we all have an opportunity for input for any new developments in that neighborhood. So thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Copy that map. I'll leave a copy of both maps here in case you need to. There we go. That one. Okay.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Jim Sellner. As mentioned, the zoning board, I'm a mining engineer. Been here about 35, almost 37 years. Working for various capacities, mainly with the state of Minnesota, representing those interests on the Iron Range. So it represents, as I mentioned before, the school trust, the university trust, the tax forfeit trust. So, and I'll mention again on the tax forfeit trust, when minerals are mined, 20% of the mineral royalties go to the state of Minnesota. The other 80 stay local. That's really important to let folks know. For instance, the zoning area that they're talking about, on the mining zoning area and this overlay, is mainly tax forfeit. Majority tax forfeit. Now that tax forfeit, 4/9 goes to the school district, 3/9 goes to the county, and 2/9 goes to the city. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, on royalty distributions once a year. Usually that's done in September. For instance, when Megatation was mining over in the Grand Rapids area, Coleraine, and school district Coleraine, school district of just that short while, and school district of Greenway, gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, and just in royalty revenues, their share of it. So I just want to bring that up. This is probably the largest single zone of tax forfeit minerals on the Iron Range. One big block. It's called the Godfrey Mining Area, the south there, south of that pit, so in that gray area there. So I just want to bring that up. I'm not speaking for the state, but I'm just bringing that up so folks know about that royalty distribution. So if they do is mining. Now, I have a question. Is a zoning overlay, is this a recreational overlay a form of zoning?
It is not.
So, but it's not, then why is it allowed? It's something like putting up a business, or not business, something that supports a recreational area. Like, let's say somebody puts up a motel or some theme park or something, Isn't that's almost business residential. That would be zoning, wouldn't it?
So, if I may, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to know what the
Just
answer
to
is.
answer
What's the
that.
question?
Yes.
So what the tourist overlay is doing is just identifying what we currently have in place, which is Redhead Mountain Bike Park, Minnesota Discovery Center, and the St. Louis County Fairgrounds within that region. It's not changing the zoning at all. It's not changing the use of that property. If anybody wanted to, like you said, put up a hotel, they would have to go through the planning and zoning, get a conditional use permit,
Okay.
and go through the whole process.
So
So it's not changing
it's not a form of
zoning.
zoning, then?
Correct. It's just identifying what we already have in that area as it is being utilized currently as a tourist destination.
Okay, so, all right, so if someone builds something, let's say in the future, if somebody puts up a hotel, and you'd have to then zone it as a hotel, even though it wasn't supposed to be a hotel, otherwise they have to tear it down?
No, they would have to go through the conditional use permit. The zoning will still never change. It would just be non-conforming within that
Okay.
region. But it has to go through the whole process of
Okay.
identifying all of the landowners and planning and zoning.
We have our attorney here, I take it. Question. I got this with the state quite often. A higher level of government does not have to agree to be zoned by a lower level of government unless they agree to it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are you aware, everybody aware of that here, besides the attorney?
Can I add one
Sure.
piece
Copy
to this conversation? So the Redhead Mountain Bike Park, all of the development of that recreational activity, and we're talking about things like developing hotels or developing big permanent structures. I think that my personal opinion is we'd be hard pressed to find any developer because the city controls those properties by land leases only. And our land leases are subject to the right of the owners to come in and mine. There's specific notice provisions, and when those notice provisions are exercised, anybody who would develop a large concrete structure or something in the nature of a motel, they would be advised before they come in. I mean, it's like building your hunting shack on a piece of leased property.
Oh, sure, I understand. I understand there'll be a lot of discussion on it, don't get me wrong. I understand
Right.
they just can't do that, carte blanche. Which segues me into my third question. You led me right into this. IRRB could easily sell a couple of parcels in there on that south side of the pit to a private owner. What would stop that private owner under this from building something like that?
They
Well,
would
the-
still have to go through
It
the
would be-
conditional
Right,
use.
right, we have to go
permit.
through, but how would the owners in the area stop that? That'd be strictly subject to the whim of the board, correct?
Which is the same with any zoning changes.
Right, and as part of that, conditional use or the permit application process, the property owners and neighboring property owners should be notified.
They'd be notified, but what good is that gonna do if they can't stop it?
But the mineral rights would have to be transferred with the sale.
No, not that IRRB.
No?
Uh-uh.
So they can, well,
But
they
that's,
State of Minnesota, the minerals, they have the surface,
right, so if they sell the surface, whoever still has the mineral rights
but they have the surface.
trumps the surface though.
It would seem to be that they don't. That surface is theirs, not the state of Minnesota.
Right.
That's an agency that owns it, not,
But if they sell it to somebody else, it's the same thing. A private person would own the surface, but they wouldn't own the minerals. So
right.
the people
It's
who own the
unlikely, for
minerals-
instance, it's unlikely the county's gonna sell that surface down there on the tax forfeit land. It's very unlikely. But if it's for a recreational purpose, I'm concerned that someone else for that's really in favor of these recreational areas might say, oh, we could just sell that surface. You can sell state surface without selling minerals. Absolutely.
Right.
It does all the time.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that state minerals are tied up there, that's up to.
But if the mining company comes along and has the mineral rights there, those people are gonna have to get out.
Right, but who pays for the moving of the facility?
That was discussed, and I don't know if it ever became part of the final agreement, but I thought that the development agreements were going to put language in that whoever builds is responsible for moving their own stuff off. The mining company wouldn't be responsible.
Can you do that in a conditional use permit though? Can you say that?
It was discussed, and I don't know whatever.
So the city's involvement with those properties are all subject to the rights of the ultimate owners. Our land leases are all subject to the ultimate owners.
Right.
And so, the ultimate question about whether another entity, whether a landowner would sell to a private developer, I mean, we're not changing the zoning, we're not changing the underlying
But that
process.
person might come forward and say, no, I want a conditional use permit to put this facility up to benefit this trail, or whatever it happens to
And,
be.
you can
and
do
that could happen
now.
today.
Yeah, you can do that now.
Right, but it's unlikely, unless IRRB does that on their own land, which they probably could, but I'm just saying they might not build a permanent facility, they could build something smaller. I would see them doing that. I can't speak for them, obviously, but I can see that possibly happening, but not, I'm concerned more if that land could get sold. I'm doing the what if here,
But it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. Somebody could build it right now, or if Iron Range Resources did sell to a private owner, it's still the same process. It's the exact same
But it's not-
process.
but right now, you don't have that overlay zone on there. Now this would give them.
It's not a
permit to do
zoning
that at
change.
once?
Mr. Mayor,
Huh.
I feel this conversation would be better had when this agenda item comes up, not during the discussion
Okay.
or the public participation piece.
Okay, I'm just asking a question. I appreciate that there's, you
Yeah.
guys feedback and stuff like, I'm just trying to better understand it. So, it's a kind of catch-22 in a way, but that's, I guess that's my questions. I appreciate that. I just wanted to, let know there's some concerns out there. And again, mining is a little different than other industries in that if you put something here on 140, 340's over, it affects that. You can't mine within that 340s of that infrastructure because of blasting.
Yep.
Just alone and other things like that, and dust and all kinds of other things that go in the permit process. So I'll just keep that in mind. Okay,
Thank you.
questions for me, or? Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. All right, we'll move on to our reports. We'll start with Cheyenne. We never get to start with Cheyenne because Adam's gone tonight, so we'll start with you tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. The only thing that I have for my report was I had two members of the community reach out and ask me to thank Larry and his awesome team for all of the clearing that they did today. Two separate. So thank you. And thank you in advance for all that you're going to do tomorrow.
Thank you, Shane. Travis, report tonight?
Yeah, just a couple of things, real short. Since we didn't have our managers, our department managers here last meeting, Katie, Light Up Chisholm is phenomenal. And that's all you, so you deserve a ton of credit for that. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And I was in Valentini's that night afterwards, and I waited an hour and a half for my meal, and you know what? It didn't bother me a second because that place was jam-packed. So kudos to you for that. And then equally, Larry, great job today. And also scraping out before the storm hit. That was a big help too. So kudos to you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Travis. April, report tonight?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I also attended a library board meeting last night, so it went really well.
Thank you. Marty, report tonight?
Good evening. The only thing I have to report was attending the Parks and Recreation Department meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you, Marty. A couple of things. If anybody signed up to go to Ram's annual meeting is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Happy hour, social hour. Dinner program at 6 o'clock. It's at this point, it's still going on. One other thing, a little self-serving here, but I'm going to say it anyway. So I'd like to wish my auntie Gladys happy birthday today, 101 years old. Gladys is the last remaining sibling of my father, and she's also the sister of former Mayor Marge Peterson. So she's the last one left. So everybody says, is she lived in Chisholm here? I said, yeah, if you come down Highway 73 and you forget to go left or right when you hit Chisholm, you run into her house. It's the one right in the middle. But happy birthday, Gladys. All right, we'll move on. We have Peyton representing the ambulance. Peyton, you got any report tonight? Council, anything for the ambulance? We're all looking forward to getting a new director on board, so that's starting, and thank you for what you're doing for us as an interim. All right, Fire Chief. Chris, I see no report. Anything for the fire department? Police Chief is not here. Building official Mandy report tonight? Engineer Jim report tonight?
No report.
Good evening, everybody, by the way. Larry, Public Works?
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't gonna give a report, but they're not just my employees, they're all of your employees, and I thank them as well for coming out. Our crew is the water plant, cemetery, parks, street, sewer, water, garbage, everybody participates, so I want to say thank you to our employees as well, so they all did a great job. And since I'm here, we're working on some repairs at the lift station over the winter here when we can be down pump. And Hibbing Taconite's coming on as a water customer very soon, so we're excited about that. And besides finishing up some end of the year stuff, we're on the hinge of some short staffing going into the next year with some maintenance to shoulders and elbows and such as well. So stick with us if we are a little bit behind here and there, but we anticipate a good staff as long as we're all here. So we'll see how that goes. So thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Parks Trails Rec Director Bridget, report tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Quick report report. Happy to announce that the Chisholm Parks, Trails and Recreation has a Facebook page, so everybody should like it and share anything that gets posted. The skating rink should open on Monday, if all goes well with snow removal and the final flooding. And from the Parks and Rec Board, we're starting to look a little bit more at what will go into a future 2023 architectural design of Lake Park. We talked a little bit about a skate park advancing from what it is to a little bit nicer of one. So that's exciting stuff here in Parks and Rec. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Library, Katie, report tonight?
Got nothing other than what's on the agenda.
Can't see anything for Katie. Attorney Lindsay, report tonight?
No formal report, Mayor.
Can't see anything for the attorney. Clerk Zaw is out tonight. It sounds like they had a very serious family emergency. Our prayers are with her family. City Administrator?
No report.
No report. All right. I'll keep moving along. We do have our public hearing. We have to call order at 6:01, our truth and taxation. So, okay, consent agenda. These are your list of bills, communications, which are the October 8th, 2022 HRA meeting minutes, notice of completed application, City of Beulah, Essentia Health, EMS, November 14th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting minutes, minutes of the previous City Council meeting, which is the November 16th, 2022 special meeting, November 23rd, 2022 regular meeting, November 30th, 2022 special meeting, payroll and overtime. Again, motion to accept consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Corrections, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we got a little while. We'll start talking about it. Mandy, you want to talk a little bit, is that what the plan was? You're going to talk a little bit about the zoning, and then at 6:01, we're going to have to decide what we're going to do here. So, all right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Planning Commission held a public hearing to adopt the zoning changes that were in our 2022 comprehensive plan. And in that comprehensive plan, there were 7 recommended zoning changes. And you can see on our map, the lower map is our current zoning map, and that was done in 2002. And the map above that is the recommended zoning change map that we held meetings on, and it was recommended from the comprehensive plan staff. There are 7 zoning changes. The first one is where our public safety building will be located, and that is currently zoned mining, and we're going to change that to public use. The second is industrial, and that is currently Mrs. Howard's property, and we are wanting to change that to retail business, and we want to just follow through and go with the neighborhood zoning along Lake Street there. The third is an industrial zone where our current public works garage is. Our plan is to move that garage and make that property into R1 for residential, so it will fit better within the community. The fourth is R2 to public use. That's our campground, and where we were looking to expand there. The fifth is industrial to general business. Basically, what we're doing there is we are making some unconforming uses into conforming uses, where we have some restaurants and hotels and that are not industrial, they are businesses. And the sixth, there are 2 number 6s, and that is the gray area that you see. We are zoning that to mining. And number 7 is currently zoned mining, And that is where we have some residential properties there that we need to pull that R2 district down south about a quarter of the way through to make those houses there conforming to the zoning. There are 2 overlay districts. The downtown overlay district is the first one. And that is just basically gonna be our overlay district for downtown tourism, just for future expansion to our businesses. The second is the recreational tourism overlay that would cover the county fair, Minnesota Discovery Center, and the Redhead Bike Trail.
Let me stop you right there, Randy. We're gonna have to recess to our public, our truth and taxation.
Randy, where's the second number 6? Let me see. One. Oh, okay.
So we'll take this up as soon as we get done with the rest, Marty. Thank you, Mandy. Before I ask for a motion recess, how many people are here tonight for the truth and taxation? So as mentioned, our clerk typically does a big presentation tonight, okay? She had a family emergency we found out about 2 hours ago, okay? I'll ask for a motion to recess to the public, or to the truth and taxation in a minute, and I'll defer to the attorney on what we can do there. But just want to let you know we can't do the presentation tonight. And we're gonna talk a little bit as soon as we open it about what our options are here, so, okay. So first of all, council, looking for a motion to recess to the public hearing, or the truth and taxation meeting, excuse me.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, April, thank you. Second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, so we are in the truth and taxation meeting. As I mentioned, we were gonna do a presentation tonight. It's all prepared. We can do it at a later time. We can do it. Brian, what are our options here? We have some people that would like to speak. Maybe we can hear from them so they don't have to come back. Maybe we can do it next week. I don't know. What do we got?
We absolutely can hear from members of the public, and that's one of the primary purposes of the truth and taxation, is to get feedback and have questions and information conveyed from our residents to the city. Generally, there's some a presentation or some information about the budget, but more importantly, it kind of creates a conversational atmosphere where the members of the public can bring in their concerns, address them to the city, and we can, with that information, follow up. If we can answer some questions now, that's great, or we can follow up as soon as we have staff available to do that.
Okay. Anybody in attendance want to address the truth and taxation, basically your taxes tonight? David, come on up. So we got Dave Rapucci. Dave, could you just, because it's what we're doing here, can you just state your address when you get up, please?
Okay, David Rapucci, 216 Northwest First Street and 215 Northwest First Street. Pass it along. Here. The first page is my personal home, which went up, but I expected that because I built the garage. And the taxes on that are $1,656. And thank you for keeping it down. It's probably the first time you hear that. But the second one, which is really kind of alarming to me, you got 215 Northwest First Street, which abuts my property, and I wanted that all as in one parcel. And the taxes on that are $1,630, almost identical to my house and 2 garages. So I'm thinking, what, do you have this non-homesteaded, or is this an error? It can't possibly be that high.
Mandy, can you look at these? Only reason I ask is because he asked a really good question, and I do see the homestead exclusion on the one he's asking about is a 0. So
Yeah.
maybe he can help explain it a little bit more, what's even there. What's on both of them.
I mean, the county assessor would have to answer.
Yeah, but, so Dave, the two properties you have here, start with the first one again, the one you said that's 1650. What's on it? The 1650, what's actually on it?
The 1650, that's my personal home.
Okay,
And two garages
okay,
on a 50-foot lot. 2 years ago, I bought a tax forfeited property that abuts my property. And I asked them to include that in one parcel.
okay. And then what's the other one?
The other one is where I built the garage.
You're right across the street?
Can I ask, see when his business out of here, because it went to commercial?
Do you run your business out of this? Or do you run, because this is owned
Well,
commercial?
I'm trying,
Mandy?
yeah, that is commercial, correct.
It changed from residential to commercial, it looks like, in 2023.
The class change?
Yeah, so what you happened, you went from an empty lot to a commercial building.
Yeah.
That's why your taxes substantially increased, from what I can tell by looking at this.
So you probably gotta call the county assessor and have them tell you why they changed your class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I can think of. Otherwise, I have no idea why it would increase that amount of money.
Any other questions?
No, thank you, David.
I can go home then. Thank you.
So so the council back in September did pass a 7% levy increase, and we have to decide if it's staying there or going down. It can't go up before the end of the year. So we're at 7%. Did you want to speak, sir? Come on up, state your name and your address, please, for Susan. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, John Paulson, 119 Southwest 3rd Street, Chisholm. I'm wondering why my rate went up 162.9%.
So I can probably answer some of that for you. So we're at a 7% levy increase. Did your value go up a lot from?
Boy, did it. It was 85.1 to 104.400.
Okay, well, that's actually not that drastic of an increase considering what everybody else is.
I'm just a rural country boy.
So, there's a number of different things that happen this year, okay? So we have, right now, we're sitting at a 7% levy increase, which gets the city 140,000 or less in extra revenues. But here's one thing that probably not a lot of people in this room, not a lot of people in Chisholm even know. The city lost $350,000 in fiscal disparities. What that actually is, that's money that comes from commercial taxes that's put towards communities that don't have a lot of commercial properties, and they're used to keep property taxes down. The state of Minnesota went through and reclassified a bunch of commercial properties and made them non-homestead residential, lost a huge chunk of commercial revenue, commercial taxes, which lowered that fiscal disparities. Well, the fiscal disparities doesn't come to the city of Chisholm. They hold your taxes down. So before we even started this year, the taxes in Chisholm went up $350,000 before we ever started. Even if we passed a 0% levy, which we still have the opportunity to do, the taxes in Chisholm went up $350,000, roughly. Close? 330?
And that's St. Louis County.
And it's all of St. Louis County. Isn't it Lake and Cook too?
Yeah.
St. Louis, Lake and Cook. And it depends how much fiscal disparities. It affects everybody different. Because Hibbing has a lot more commercial. They lost some fiscal disparities too, but they only lost about as much as us. So they lost about 300 some thousand too. But if you spread it out between, what did they got, 25,000 people or something over there? A lot less significant. So that is the main reason. We're still trying to figure out what the formula is. We actually listened to a presentation about fiscal disparities. I was more confused when we got done than when I did it. But so that's what's happening. Your value went up. You have our small increase on our levy that you're sitting on, and you have this huge fiscal disparities. We're hearing if the house actually sold last year, it could be really bad. If it sold and the value went up drastically all in the same time. But like you said, tonight, our meeting tonight is really to talk about the 7% we have. There's a lot of them taxes probably.
But isn't that a little high, 162.9%?
Oh, yeah, no question. No question. But unfortunately, it's...
Highest in Chisholm, I think.
You could be. I've heard some huge ones, but it has to do with fiscal disparities because, our preliminary levy isn't any bigger than it was last year at this point. Was it?
It's less.
It's less.
Yeah.
So, when you got your statement last year, it went up this amount. That's what it would have again this year. So you're seeing a number of different factors. Value went up. We lost that fiscal disparities that had nothing to do with us, and we do have a small levy on there. So, yeah. Like you said, all we can do is we can talk about the 7% we have here. That basically, the way I look at it, our cost to the city, probably $400,000 are hard costs for next year. What I'm looking at, gas, electricity, raises for the employees. We're trying to recover, like I said, 7% right now, $140,000. So we're down about probably $160,000 to $260,000 from what we're going to operate on from last year right now, even at 7%. So, like you said, the fiscal disparities went right to the people. And there's nothing we could do about it.
So there's nothing I can do either, right?
No, there really isn't. Like I said, we could go to a zero. If we could find a way to get to 0%, I would say that your taxes would change very little from what we can do for you.
What are you planning on coming down to? Because you're at 7% now.
We don't know. We're going to have a budget meeting next week. We're going to set one tonight, and I think we'll be ready to finalize it. I hope by next week. We're going to have a special meeting. So, did you want to get up and speak?
Yeah, we just want to make a couple of statements.
Yeah, come on, get up, just so we have your name and address.
Well, I got a couple of papers here. I just kind of want you guys to have this information to review.
Yep. Could you state your name and?
My name's Chris Perkovich, and I'm here on behalf of my mom, Elaine Segan. She lives over by the lake at 706 Northeast 2nd Avenue. North Island is, and the bigger.
Yep. Thank you.
These built houses are. Well, let me just hand a few of these out here. You can keep them for records because there's some important information in here.
Thank you.
I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but Adam's not here. I wanted to give him one, but.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see here. Well, basically, I guess our main concern is, I know the values have gone up on a lot of houses, because of the economy and everything in the market. And obviously, they're gonna be going down as we speak. They're saying 20 to 30% over the next year or so because of interest rates and everything else with the economy. Basically, I guess our concern really is mainly with, the levy. I guess I didn't hear everything you just said on it. But, her taxes right now are $4,164. You can see at the bottom of the form here on the first page. And obviously, 24.4% increase. They're supposed to possibly propose to go up to $5,142. it's over $1,000 increase, depending on your levy. So that's a big concern, for resale and just, being able to stay in your house. I mean, over 10 years, that adds up to $50,000 or more, depending. And then the school referendum isn't on there, and that's gonna set it up another $1,222. And that's noted on the right side there. So her taxes could go up to $6,404. And, another important thing to keep in mind is, nothing's been done to the house, like 25 years since it's been built. It needs a new roof. Basically, the levy in Chisholm here, it seems like we're paying proposed to pay $2,821 to the city, depending on the levy. And then the school, probably $1,900. So over $4,000 is going to the city in the school, every year now with these increases possibly here. And, I guess, I don't know, who wants to pay that kind of those kind of taxes in Chisholm? It's Chisholm. I mean, it's Lake View, it's not lakefront, it's not side lake, and we just think it's pretty extreme, to pay that much. We all get the same services and things like that, plowing, whatever, grass cutting. And, my biggest concern is that there's a lot of houses that are just paying. I've got a list here on the third page, if you want to go to it real quick here. So I talked to the county last spring, and they gave me 1,533 parcel codes. This is on page 3. And those parcel codes, I mean, I've got them on my computer, and I can get them to anybody that wants them, but they all have a structure on them, because some parcel codes, are different, it's the same owner. But I wanted, individual houses and all that, but they said they could only send me ones with structures on them. So what I found out on there was that 354 of the properties, of the parcel codes, they're paying less than $200 a year. And some of them have houses and garages on them, and I mean, that's a lot of houses to be paying less than $200 a year in garages and stuff like that, because like I said, we all get the same services, and some people's water bills are more than that, in 1 month, and they're paying less than $200 in taxes, and some of them are even in the double digits, in $100 some dollars or even less. And then there was 370 properties of those parcel codes. Most of them consist of houses and garages, but some of them don't. At least a structure, a shed or something on it, but paying between $200 and $400 a year. So when you look at this, 724 properties, basically, with parcel codes with a structure on them, they're paying less than $400 a year out of the 1,533 with structures on them. So that's almost half of properties in this town paying less than $400. And I mean, and then you got on here, I've got it all charted out on the computer. It says 357 properties are paying over $1,000 a year. So only 357 out of the 1,533, and almost half of them are paying less than $400. I mean, I just think that the tax brackets and the tax base, there needs to be a minimum tax of like $500 a year on these properties. We're all getting the same services. Some of us are getting lesser services because of, we're getting plowed out last or whatever, There was a time when they used to do all the sidewalks in this town, plow all those, I heard too, but not anymore. But I'm not here to complain about that, but I mean.
So Chris, let me stop you there. Because everything you said, I've thought that for years.
But nothing's being done.
Well, it's the county's formula is the problem. We don't set the taxes. They come in, they set the values. We set our levy. All we do, we need so much money from the taxpayers. They send the tax statement. The people with the expensive houses pay all the taxes. That's the way it is. I love the idea of a mandatory minimum. I bet if we passed one here, like a 500 mandatory minimum, I bet it would be found to be illegal.
Well, is there any way that can be adjusted through the county or the state at the level?
You'd have to go to that meeting. You'd have to go to a county meeting and say, this is crazy. The people with the expensive houses pay for they do. And you should see how hard it is for us because we're past 7% levy, okay? Think about it, 7%. We're not, with 7% we got right now, we don't even have enough money to recover our additional expenses for next year, okay? So think about that. But yet, look at how much your taxes are going up, okay? You're this big. And like I said, the people you mentioned, the other ones,
Yeah.
probably $5, okay? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's not our formula is the problem. It's the county's formula.
Well, somebody's gonna have to try to get together and do something about it.
I agree.
Because I'm telling you right now.
I agree.
You're not gonna build any new houses in this town. We have a shrinking tax base. I mean, when I was looking at some things and I was trying to find out how many houses were built, you know, say between 1990 and 2000, I found some information, I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, contacted the city, contacted the county. But like from 2014 on, I mean, we probably only built about 5 or 6 houses in this town, and 3 of them have been Habitat for Humanity houses. And that's only getting you about $400 a year in property taxes for one of those houses. One of them was Frank Lamuska's up by the Range Center and Puhak's up there, and I think his tax is around $3,300. Probably going to go up to $4,500 with the new school and possibly the increase in levy. So my question is, who's going to build a house in Chisholm when you got to pay $4,500 to $6,000 or more dollars when you build a house?
I don't think it's unusual for the surrounding communities either, but.
You know, I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, most people would rather just go to Balkan or go outside of town to avoid all the excess amounts, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%.
So,
I don't.
mean, we've got to figure out some way to do something about this because we're going to we've actually lost more houses and buildings in this town than we've built in the last 10 years due to fires, tear downs, you know.
We are trying to build a new housing development right now, so we are working on it, but.
It's going to be tough to get people to build with the cost of everything, taxes, water.
It is. It's the people with the nicer houses are paying for everything. You know. And the one thing you said, everybody gets the same service. It's frustrating. I can tell you, the next mayor, Lance, feels exactly the way you do too. If there was a way we could pass a minimum service fee or something, I do believe we would find out they would come after us and say that it's discrimination of some type because they feel their formula on how they do taxes is the most correct.
Well, you guys can have a minimum water bill. Is that discrimination too then? Or what?
That's illegal. So, well, depending on how you do it, but there's certain rules that you have to follow to set even those minimums, and it's got to be tied to something very specific.
Okay.
It's a lot more difficult than it seems it should be.
Well, there's got to be a way around it, right?
Right.
You know how that goes. Or there's got to be some legal way to do it, you know, I mean.
A bunch of people need to show up at the county board meetings and
Make a change.
and ask for that. 'Cause,
Sure.
you'd probably have to go to a board meeting so that you can get some press.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean that is what happens, and it makes it very difficult for our council. Because, like I said, we need some extra money, and it's the same people that pay for it all the time. It's like you said, we need a little extra money. This person pays $2, this one pays $100. Well, how is that fair? You know,
it's not inviting. It's welcoming the
yeah.
people who want to join in the community and maybe build something new and nice. Or, you know.
Well, Chisholm's not unusual because every city does the same. They have the same county formula, so. It is. They're
and that's the thing is you're lucky if you're getting you know, on a $50,000 to $60,000 house, which a lot of houses are still valued at, you know, even though the median house price is $95,000, you're only getting about $200 to $300 out of a $50,000 to $60,000 house in property taxes a year. And I mean, and a lot of the houses are that price, you know.
Yep.
I mean, even on the northwest side of town. My grandmother's old house across from Range Center, the Range Center on 9.5 Street there, white one on the corner with the fence. Taxes on that sold for $65,000 like 5 years ago. They're still $260. You know, and it's a decent house. And we have a neighbor right next to my mom's.
Chris, we'll take it under consider. I don't want to cut you off, but we got a lot to get done tonight. But like you said, we got 7%. We can adjust this, and we can't rewrite the county tax code tonight. It's way above our head. You got to go.
That happens. don't build a house in Chisholm.
Well, don't build one anywhere for that matter, you know, if that's the way it's gonna be.
They're gonna be $4,000 to $7,000, and it's like paying a rent till you're dead of like, let's say, $500 to $700 a month.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you for
Yeah.
getting all this information and
Call the county,
I appreciate
verify it.
this.
I mean, it's concerning, because we're never gonna build this town up.
I agree.
It's gonna shrink it in the.
All right, anybody else want to address the council? Come up to the podium, please.
Who determines the land value? Like, who determines in town, what areas in town are richer and more
Yeah,
taxable?
can
Can you come up to the podium, please?
No, I can't. Oh, sorry.
The county sets values.
The county says like, so the swamp behind the range center is. much
County
more
sets all values in the state.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Would that be
based on
correct,
the
Brian?
house.
The county set values of homes and properties.
It's not the nicer homes they're taxing, it's just the areas.
It's maybe a
No,
stupid
it's the nicer.
question.
You should see my
Duluth
house.
did it. They raised the sales tax, like 0.1%. I know Chisholm's small.
Yeah, we looked at it for different things. It doesn't generate a lot of money, so. And you have to get approval from the state legislature.
Well, that's easy to get.
All right, anything else tonight on this item?
John?
I'm one of those commercial businesses that bought it. So my taxes went up 140%.
All right, so if there's nothing else, we'll, council will look for a motion to adjourn the Truth and Taxation. When we talk about our meeting next week, if we want to do something with Eileen's presentation, we can talk about it then. But look for a motion to adjourn the Truth and Taxation.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so I'm going to reconvene the regular meeting. Thank you, everybody that came down tonight. And we're going to go back. Mandy, were you done? You're just talking about the different zoning? Okay. Let me, Council, just give me a minute. My papers are all in goofed up order here. I just got to make sure I get them back before we start talking.
Mr. Mayor, am I able to ask Mandy a couple questions? I wanted to ask you.
Who do you want? Mandy? Yeah, absolutely. Come on back up then, Mandy.
Hi. Could you explain what general business is, what retail business is, and what industrial business is?
Yes, so in your packet, you have the different uses.
It's on page 25.
Page 25 it starts.
Okay.
Look, they're all listed, and those are the different permitted uses that can be in each zoning district.
Do you just want to tell me, like, can you explain it, just like in layman's terms, what is a retail business? Anything that sells?
Yeah, retail business is basically your downtown area.
Okay.
Your stores, office space, anything that. General business will go into more of an equipment sales, automobile service uses. You can still do retail shopping in a general business district.
Mhm.
Wholesale business, any rental storage. The limited business, that's more just for office, health, medical issues, churches, and residents. So they're listed. There are 4 permitted uses in a retail business, and there are 9 in the general business district. So it does, general business does open up your options a little bit more.
Than a retail.
Correct. But it would, if you look at the zoning map and what is recommended, if you did change number 2 to general business, that would be considered spot zoning in that area. You want to maintain your zoning throughout the whole neighborhood and keep the uses.
Yeah, but at some point it ends. Right?
Right.
I mean, the next property over is something different, right? So at some point it does end, so. I don't know where April is headed with that, but I agree that when you have a building the size of Ms. Howard's, where it's 90% warehouse and a small office connected to it, that I don't know that I would be in favor of going retail with it. And especially when general business, for the most part, covers retail. And it allows a much broader, I actually believe, she mentioned Smart Screens Incorporated in K2. K2 maybe, but Smart Screens would almost fall within general business too, because they were pretty much limited to the inside of the building and doing work in there, but they probably considered themselves industrial, but.
I would agree with that. I would also, maybe if you are thinking of going with the general business district, just carry it further south to that south border of the downtown tourism overlay.
Yeah, to me, that's the only thing that jumps out on me is that one, and then, you know, with what the folks from Global mentioned, I believe we need to make sure that at least everybody is notified when things are going to happen out there. So, like you said, at least they have an opportunity to say we're against it, and if it happens, you know, we're all going to be gone probably by then. They may be gone too, but at least the person can take the paper, walk in. At least the person can walk into court and say, you know, we need to mine it. We told them 20 years ago we're going to need to mine it someday. At least they can say that. I don't know if it stops anything. So those are the two things. It sounds like that's supposed to be in place already, Brian, as part of our
conditional use permit process is a public hearing through the planning commission, just as the rezoning was, and the planning commission would place conditions on that permit, and the council would be the final approval.
I think, if I may.
Yes.
I think another thing to note on the zoning changes, what's proposed today is the map version of the zoning change. We will bring back the text version too for that rezoning of, for mining and the conditional use that would go along with it. So there will be additional provisions.
There'll be another public hearing for the text amendments to the zoning map.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Marty?
I guess one concern I had was during the comprehensive plan, and it didn't really become apparent to me until now, even if you look at that map, the color differentiation between retail business and general business is almost, it's tough to differentiate the color. I thought it was all general business. Turns out it's not. And it's just due to the poor quality of the map and the color selection that they chose.
We can change that.
So I was under the assumption our whole downtown and all our business was a general business district. It wasn't until I just looked at the map here, this bigger map where you can actually see the colors, that they're different.
Yeah.
So I guess I am a bit concerned about limiting businesses to retail only, or just retail.
I agree.
And I think we need to kick it back to the planning commission or take no action on this map until we've had more chance to discuss this, and maybe get somebody, Adams, our planning commission representative, who's not here tonight, but I would not be in favor of this with regard to the retail business only versus general business. I think we need to expand it a little bit and be more in the general business, give more people more flexibility.
Being devil's advocate, I agree with you. I think on the main street, they're trying to create the storefront atmosphere, I think is why the retail, jumps out. And as you get off the main street, you know, then I agree with you more then. So, yeah, I'm torn too. It's hard, it's difficult, Marty. I just, like you said, to me, general business, if you're retail, I think it,
I think the main focus was to get the zoning out of industrial. So we didn't have any industrial businesses moving in on that lakefront property.
Stephanie just pointed out to me, Marty, that one of the things about general business, rental or enclosed storage, it includes it, and all of a sudden you end up with you can have some issues on your main street too, so that's probably why it's considered retail there, so,
And
you
it
know.
does open up to automobile service uses and those kinds of businesses on the lakefront.
Okay, I see, all right.
You know, the hard part is you have all these non-conforming uses now, you know. It's just, we have apartments on the main level of the main street. They're not, you can't do that right now. Not to bring up Lisa again, but there was an auto body shop down there. That's not a retail business. That's more of a general business, right? You know, so, I mean, it's hard when you're trying to do this, when you got so many goofed up things already. I don't know what to do. Like I said, I'm not in favor of that, changing that, the Howard property to retail. That's my biggest one. And if things are being built in that, in mining areas, that they're notified, those are my two concerns. If we want to kick it back to the planning commission when it gets back here, you guys got to do it without me.
So, existing uses can stay, they're grandfathered in, but if somebody new came in to change, okay.
Yes.
And also the change would happen at sale, right? Would be limited to yourself. Okay.
So what about Martin Motors then? They would have to change when the sale of their contract with you is complete? They would have to shut down their auto shop?
No, because they bought that property before this zone change.
Well, it's a contract for deed, so they don't own it until they complete the contract for deed.
I would need your help with that, Attorney Lindsay.
And I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
A contract for deed property.
Is it sold as soon as the contract for deed is signed?
No.
Well, yes and no. The answer is more complicated. For purposes of zoning, a contract for deed creates a record owner and an equitable owner. And there's obligations that go between the two of them, but the law does recognize certain aspects of an equitable owner. And the question becomes whether a use is established while it's permitted for purposes of grandfather. It's not necessarily about ownership, it's about the establishment of a use. And if you establish a legally permissible use within a zoning area, even if that area changes, you continue to be grandfathered in until that use either ceases or there's some additional action that's taken. But generally, the use can continue so long as it was established within a period when it's permissible.
Mandy, is that property being rezoned, Martin Motors? No, so that property isn't being rezoned and Martin Motors isn't being rezoned?
No, that it's in part of the downtown tourism overlay, but our overlays are not changing any zoning.
So the property itself has always been retail?
Correct.
Council, what do we want to do with this? I don't, you know, we got such a broad stroke here with all the different changes, and I only have a few concerns myself, but I don't know how if I turn it back, like I said, when it gets back to the council, I won't be here, so I'm not gonna push it back if we can solve it tonight.
Mayor,
Yes, Marty?
I believe this map you say is going to probably get updated some more. There's going to be more details shown, or
There's going to be more details. There's going to be more street names on it, and it's going to show some more parcels on it. But as far as the zoning, no, the zoning
Okay.
won't change unless the council wishes to do so.
My question is, what is my business zoned as Martin Motors? Because on the map, I'm the very corner and you can barely tell what color it is, you can barely tell what business it is. And when I go onto the county website, it says our structure is an auto repair facility and a retail facility, because it's technically two properties in one. And it's very unclear. We've been trying to get a hold of people along with us buying the building on a contract. Tax-wise, we pay the taxes. Legally, we're somewhat of the legal owners, but it doesn't fully go into our name until it's paid for. So
But
we
the
just want to
use-
make sure we'll be able to have our auto shop there and not
But the
have our
use
auto-
has not changed.
Okay, so the use will,
since-
how about if I go to sell the building in 20 years, will it still be able to have an auto shop, or will it not be able to have an auto shop?
The zoning's not changing.
You know,
Is it zoned correctly
No.
right now?
They are grandfathered in.
Yeah.
and that's another thing, we have a lot of grandfathered
Which is all,
clauses.
so all those like red dots, that's what those are too.
But on the map, it's very hard to see because we're like literally right on the kitty corner of the top right corner on the map, and there's different colors. It's I don't know if you could get a more detailed map, maybe a little zoomed in a little more, or more addresses, or something.
You want to try to put together a meeting with the planning commission before the end of the year? Joint meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I'm okay with that. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but
Now, Mr. Mayor, the quality of the old map is substantially better. I mean, you can actually see all the blocks and lots and parcels on that map. This one is more like a cartoon. It's not very specific. It's not very accurate. I don't believe. Maybe it is, but you can't tell. And like you said, you can't really tell. The old map, you can look at that map and it shows every lot on every block, every lot is shown. That one up the upper new map, it's
what do we do?
really
And I
much
did
more
send
poor
the
quality.
SE group to get me a more detailed map.
Right, the old one is
Yeah.
very specific. And each lot and parcel is clearly labeled correctly, according to the zoning. But the new one, it's hard to tell.
I'm probably.
Can't really tell. Maybe it's pretty subjective.
And then another thing, we weren't even notified, we found out about half an hour before the meeting.
It's because you didn't have a zoning change, so the people that are notified have the zoning change.
Your zoning isn't changing.
How do we set a meeting? We can't really, can we just,
Yeah, with the, unless it's, Brian, we can add it to that Tuesday meeting potentially.
You would have time if you wanted to do that.
Council, if you want, we can discuss trying to arrange it with the budget meeting. Is that all right? We have that later on the agenda. All right, let's take no action on this at this point then.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, everyone that spoke as well. All right, Mandy, as long as you're up there, Garth, Brenda Beck with purchase and adjacent lots. Council, you have letters and some prices and stuff on page 28 to 31.
So council, I did just go back and I looked at previous dates and sales of the properties. And you can see on the spreadsheet, the purchase price of each property and then the estimated value of each property that the year was sold. You can tell the numbers are kind of all over the board there. The Beckwiths did offer us $1,000 for the property, and the estimated value right now of the property is $4,600.
Council, looking at other properties in that area, you know, I would say if we sell, we should be at least be in about the 25 area. 2,500, if they want to buy it for that, that would be probably my recommendation. I don't know. Unless somebody feels otherwise, I'd look for a motion to let them know we'd sell it for that amount and take it or leave it.
Brian, just a question. Approximately, what is a legal administrative fee for? What would the lump sum be?
I mean, as far as just kind of a simple real estate transaction,
Yeah.
you're probably looking at somewhere between $300 and $500 total. That includes recording and the whole shebang, assuming it's a cash transaction. If you introduce lending and financing, then you're probably looking far north of that number, because then you'll have additional requirements and things that will need to be done.
So council, that'd be my recommendation. I think we should sell them. Talking to staff, it sounds like the lots aren't great lots to build on at this point. They're the least desirable, and the neighbors want them. We put them back on the tax roll, and basically to get on the, excuse me, basically to get on the tax roll for what they're valued at. So it doesn't really hurt us to give them a deal on them. And we get them, they're paying taxes on them. So 2,500, I'd look for motion. Or more? Less?
4,000, then they can pay the $300 to $500 transaction fee and not have to pay the $600 estimated market value.
What was that, April?
Oh, I was just saying, I would prefer if we went with 4,000, and then Attorney Lindsay said $300 to $500 for that transaction fee. So take off the $600 off the $4,600 estimated market value, and leave it at $4,000. Because if you look at that lot, that's a big lot.
The eastern third of it is wetlands.
That they can't build on, right?
Well, we could, but it gets complicated.
With wetlands, right?
It's complicated.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make your motion to sell the lot for $2,500 plus and they pay the legal fees.
Travis, let me stop you before you do that. Let me go back to April, because she kind of made a motion there.
Oh,
Sort
sorry.
of.
I'm sorry.
Sort of. I mean, did you feel that should be a
I
motion?
just wanted to talk it out a little bit,
Okay.
you know? This
Yeah.
is kind of like where I was coming from.
I don't want to cut you off, because if you made it a motion, I'd have to take you up first, so, you know, it would be
I didn't
proper.
officially make it a motion, no. Mr.
All right.
But,
All right, so we do have a motion by Councilor Vaki to sell the property for $2,500, and they take care of the attorney fees. Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion, council? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
nay.
The motion carries. Thank you, Mandy. All right, where we at? Jim Johnson. Resolution 1222-103, Municipal State Aid Street Funds Advance.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. In the past, we have advanced payments in excess of what we're annually appropriated. It is an interest-free loan that we get from the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Right now, we're a little over $511,000 that we still owe. Our appropriation this year will be on the construction account which repays these loans is about $244,000 per year. If we were to get this advance, it would take us to $694,000, basically $700,000. The real question comes into play as to, do we want the money now in terms of repayment, get the $183,000 really this year, and we repay it during 2023, 2024, and 2025, and if there'll still be some such that we do not have to pay back to the state at that point. I've gone through several scenarios that I've shared with Stephanie. We are going to be meeting with state aid to update this. I feel quite confident. It's really a matter of, do we want that $183,000 really right away? We'll get it before the end of this year or very early next year, or do we just pay off that loan sooner and get that $183,000 probably in 2025? So it's really a matter of, with our financial situation, I guess I was pushing to get the $183,000 sooner than later, but that's really your decision to make. So that's what the resolution involves. And this is all repayment of our 4th Avenue West Mill and Overlay project a couple of years ago. We're entitled to about $265,000 in reimbursement through state aid. They've offered us the advance of $183,000, such that they do not want to loan that other $80,000, such that we would probably end up having to hold that back in 2025. With that, can I answer any questions, or have I confused you?
So let me put it in, so 2025, there's a real good potential that we lose state aid because we're under 5,000. So for anybody on the council that, so the 183,000, you want to get it in your hands because 5th Street? You're concerned with trying to put 5th Street together because you're concerned about
project finance, so
okay.
avoid a liability situation.
Are you concerned at all that state aid will drop off in 2023, 2024, 2025? I mean, you're going to get less, and if we did take this today, that somehow we're going to end up owing anyway?
I ran, they've given us our tentative allocation for next year, which was going to be $324,000, of which $244,000 is in the construction account. That 75% is what we're reimbursed for. Initially, they were projecting somewhere, I think, Matt, in 10 to 14% reduction in that allocation for next year. I just talked with the people down in central office yesterday, and they feel that at most it's going to be 4%, which takes us down still in excess about $310,000, so I think $230,000, $240,000. We just don't know what happens in terms of gas tax revenues from year to year. But I went even down to a scenario, I think, of 10% or more or something, and then just kept it for 23, 24, and 25, and we were still coming out positive. When we went to about 15%, then we were owing some money at the end of the year. But the other side of that is the other 25% is our maintenance account that we're paid automatically. And if we were running short in 24 or 25, we would just take less than that 25%. Right now, we get about $80,000. If we owed them $20,000 in that last year, we'd only get $60,000 in that maintenance account. So I feel quite comfortable taking the advance now if you're comfortable with it. I think, and we'll be looking at this annually just to make sure that we're not running short when we get to 2025.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor, for resolution number 1222-103.
Thank you, April. Is there a second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Jim.
The second item is just a contractual arrangement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. It's really just re-upping this. It comes up every 5 years, I believe. And basically what it designating is the Minnesota Department of Transportation becomes the federal agency, or the fiscal agent, I should say, if we were able, or if we were ever able to acquire federal funding for a transportation-related project. It's a standard form that they send out to every community, and it's just re-upping that from when it was last done. I believe it was 5 years ago. So with that, I would recommend that you adopt Resolution 1222-104, designating the Minnesota Department of Transportation as our delegated contract processing agent.
Seems pretty easy. Council looking for a motion to adopt Resolution 1222-104.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Larry. Resolution 1222-105, Hibbing TAC donation. I'll let Larry talk about it.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a formality, we've spoken a few times about the generous donation Hibbing TAC made to material that isn't useful to them anymore, but is very useful to us. So, and even more useful, Jim and I worked on a little fact-finding mission. Marty will appreciate it probably more than some of you. That that Course Tales is also is a classified, what do you call it? Select granular material and pipe bedding material, which we didn't know. So that could also be used in our capital improvement projects to save money. So we thank them for that, and we hope we keep the relationship going, and we can get some more in the future. So.
For the public safety building.
Yeah.
So, Council, we're looking for a motion to adopt Resolution 1222-105, accepting a donation from Hibbing TAC. And with that motion, allow me to sign this letter to Ms. Karnowski and Mr. Martirano, thanking them for the product.
Make that motion.
Thank you, April. Second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is information on the campground.
Thanks, everybody. I had some further notes, but they're in my office, so. But I just wanted to share, like I did last year, that the campground had a good year this year. Bridge has been working through some of the numbers and stuff like that, and sorry, I don't have it. But the campground had a good year. Revenue was 112%, and with a little bit rainier season, we made up for it in the fall with the big redhead race and stuff, and we ventured into some overload camping to try to keep people around and in town. So campground had a very good year. We did a lot of updates, and looking forward to 2023.
I'm happy.
Very.
Travis, and that was our idea.
Yeah.
Thought maybe we could make a few bucks on it. So it's good that it's working. It's good to have, having control of it. You can be a little more consistent. So.
And the overflow parking for the Redhead events. I mean, I had numerous people tell me how thankful they were that they were allowed to do that.
And we added 92 campsites for that one weekend, so it worked out really good. And it kept people in town.
Yeah.
And not traveling back to Duluth or not back to the St. Cloud or wherever, so it worked out really well.
And it worked out good because, we're in an arrangement with the fair and everything too, so.
And it's beautiful facilities up there that we were able to use.
So good.
Together on, so.
Okay, Larry, your last item then?
And then, Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry?
It's
a letter of intent to purchase, budgeted wheel loader. It is mainly a added replacement, or a budgeted replacement of a 1986 grader that if it was to go into disrepair wouldn't be purchased, or fixed, it would just be sold. And then in addition to help service the newer properties that the city's acquired, and such as the public safety building, campground, EDA building, ambulance garage, things like that. So, and it's a 4-year payment. that we discussed in the budget process. This here, I fully understand there's a budget meeting next week. And this is just an intent to purchase to hold the pricing. So that's what that says at this time. It would still take council's support next year to generate a PO for the purchase, so.
Quick question for you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. Is that
Yes,
okay?
go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so in your letter, it says 4 annual payments, so
Yeah.
4 year, right?
Yeah.
And then in this, upon delivery, it says to be paid upon delivery in 2023.
Oh, so
how does this work?
financing.
Okay.
Yep, and it's all source low price, which is competitive bid, just like state contract.
Okay.
And it's a financing. And so they get the money from the finance company and we make the payment to them annually.
Okay. And then it said four annual payments of 55,000, right? So 55,000 is 220,000. We since we're government entity,
Yeah.
we don't have to pay for sales tax and stuff like that,
Correct,
right?
just the financing charges.
So that's like $25,000 less if we went with this 194,000, correct?
Well, the only thing we pay is finance charges. So it's 4.5%.
4.5%
That's the source low price.
finance charges.
I believe it's 0.5% under prime for government financing, prime government financing, 0.5%.
But that wouldn't be $25,000 more,
No,
right?
no, and well, it's, no, it wouldn't. It's the total price. It's still not figured, like, it's estimated at $55,000 a year. So it would be $120,000, not, if you bought it today, you could buy it for $194,000, but we don't have $194,000 today.
But if we said we want it at this price, they're gonna give us at 194,000?
We would be purchasing it from the dealer at the 194. We would be paying back as you would a loan at home with finance charges attached. Yes.
Okay.
I hadn't actually remembered seeing this when we discussed the budget, and I did go back. He's got it's real clear in his budget that we do still have this 55 or whatever in the budget.
There was more exciting things in the budget than this.
Well, it is a big, because you're doing it over 4 years, it's a huge consideration. I did ask Larry if we can wait till next week. He said, you're not obligated to buy it if you change your mind. So I don't think it actually matters at this point. What matters is what happens, inevitably what happens next week if it stays in there and for the next 3 years. So I don't have an issue with locking in the price right now or waiting a week. It's completely up to the council. So I don't think it matters either way. I think this price good till the end of the year anyway, right, Larry? So we could wait. Marty?
Question, what size bucket is on this loader?
3 yard.
3 yard? Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
So it's a smaller machine for...
It's the same size as our smaller machine. Yep.
Okay. What size were you thinking of renting if we do that project out there?
Big,
Bigger,
like
yeah,
6 yard. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And with a rock bucket?
980
Okay.
style. Yeah, like a rock bucket.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Council, what do you want to do? You want to sign a letter of intent now, or you want to wait till we talk about the budget next week?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make the motion to sign a letter of intent. We're not obligated to purchase it, but to lock in the price. That's
correct.
Because the price after the first year could be the same, could be a lot higher.
Yeah.
Support. Okay, thank you, Marty, and supported by Travis. Thank you, Travis. Further discussion, council? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Budget Resolution 1222-106, apply for snowshoe grant. Good evening.
Mayor and councilors, I'm asking permission to apply to the DNR's Leave No Child Inside grant. It's a mini grant for snowshoes, and an update to that resolution. Actually, if you look, I had 1,400. I did speak with Councilor Vaki about utilizing the snowshoes with the school group, so that increased the request that I would be going for to 4,200.
Sweet.
Lots of snowshoes, lots of kids.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome, Bridget. Speaking from a school perspective,
So you're looking for a motion to adopt resolution 1222-106 with the amendment to up to 1,400 to 4,200. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it really is. From a school perspective, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Looking for that motion.
Motion.
Thank you, April. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion, council?
Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
I actually, my wife and I bought snowshoes last year for Christmas. We did go a couple times.
That's
You
awesome.
can go now.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Katie. Katie's back with more money. She just keeps money. It's all about money.
Hi.
Good evening.
Everyone. Just looking to adopt a resolution 1222-107 to accept a reimbursement from the Arrowhead Library System for $750 for summer reading program supplies.
Council motion to adopt resolution 1222-107. Get that reimbursement.
Make that motion.
Thank you, April. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
All right, so I'll take the first one of Eileen's here, resolution number 1222-108. Basically, it's housekeeping to set our polling place for 2023. We don't expect to use it in 2023 as far as I know, but we have to do it yearly, as you mentioned. So motion to adopt that resolution, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Second.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one I believe Stephanie's gonna take on, and I think it's the sheets that were on your desk.
Yep, you will find on your desk, excuse me, the fiscal year 2021 budget amendment justification. This was for the water department. If Larry has anything to add to it. I believe it's already been approved by the Public Utilities Commission during their monthly scheduled meeting in December. So we're just looking for, this is just informational on the budget amendments for the water department, for the 601 fund. Eileen is always really good about making sure the council is aware of adjustments from what has been approved.
So basically, these are just fixing the budgets, putting them in the right spot, and then it ends up being a net zero.
Yep. Yeah, it's just adjustments within the
Correct.
budgets, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, good. We'll move on. Stephanie, North Shore Human Resource Consulting Contract, Ravina Claxton.
So as council is aware, Ravina has been working with staff on various different human resources topics. We've been working a lot with policies and procedures and getting everything up to date, making sure we're following all state and federal guidelines and compliant to any human resources areas that we need to cover. She's also been working on numerous other things lately. We've been working towards FMLA policy. Susan's been working very closely with her to make sure we're following all regulations. She's very knowledgeable on that side. What we're looking to is extending her contract for another year. We have numerous things that we want to address. She is up to $1,000 a month is what her contract currently sits at. And we do have that budgeted in the budget for next year. So we're just looking for approval to approve her contract for one more year.
Council, my thoughts on this would be that we could approve this contract based on staff believing we should keep her around. But I think we should make a contingent on that she's still in the final budget. I mean, there's no harm there, right? She's in there now. I don't think we have any intentions taking her out, but I think we should do it contingent on that so that in case something comes up between here and there and we got to look for something, we have that option. So that'd be my recommendation. Sign it right after we approve the budget.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second for that.
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. St. Louis County lease for the office.
So as you all know, the St. Louis County Fair has their office located in downstairs of City Hall. We have a great partnership with them. They're looking at renewing the lease that they are currently in. They've already been here a year, which is kind of surprising to me, but they have been, and we're just looking to extend that lease, renew that lease.
I'll make that motion for, to extend that, or renew their lease for $150 per month with utilities included.
No, that's fine. Works fine. Thank you, April.
Yes.
Same fee then? Was the
Yes.
recommendation
Yep,
same fee?
recommendation is to stay at the same. We do have a good partnership with them.
Okay. Second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, April. Further discussion, council?
Hey, Steph, do we have any other places in our building here that for rent?
Not really. We kind of rented out. We're pretty rented out right now.
Figure it out.
Yeah, this facility we don't have a lot. Potentially maybe upstairs at some point, but we need to do some renovations to that to be able to utilize that space.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 1222-109, Blanded Foundation Fiscal Agent.
So the Chisholm Downtown Revitalization Group is at it again. They're looking for the city of Chisholm to be a fiscal agent on a Blandon grant. On page 74 of your packet, it outlines what this grant would be utilized for: enhancements to the current pocket park, outdoor children's programming space at the library, the splash pad site enhancements. Kiwanis has done a really great job of getting funding for the equipment for the splash pad and be able to construct that. What this would look like is just making sure that that area has ADA compliance. It has anything that's needed as far as the bathrooms if they need any additional work. So just getting some additional funding for enhancements of that area. Some art downtown. They've already done a great job of enhancing art to our downtown area and just adding to that. And then also a Lake Street mural. None of these items, in my opinion, are going to be very taxing on the current staff. It's just enhancing a lot of things that we currently have. So we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 1222-109.
Council looking for motion to adopt that resolution.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marty. Second.
Second.
Thank you, April. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Steph, are you already on with the folks?
Yeah, just give me one quick second.
Let's, council, let's take a 5-minute recess, stretch our legs, run the bathroom, and we'll let Steph make sure she's ready with our guests from our CM from Adolphson and Peterson. Just gonna Zoom with us tonight. We have Brandon Kellerman and Patrick Sims with Adolphson and Peterson, who is our CM that we hired at our special meeting with regard to the public safety building. In your packet tonight, you had a whole bunch of contract drafts. I think they're gonna go through all that with us and try to explain how this is all gonna work, right? Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. We appreciate that very much. We certainly would prefer to be in person tonight, but obviously Mother Nature has prevented us from getting there this evening. So what you have in front of you is a culmination of some work that we did with Stephanie, also with the USDA in regards to contract status, and in particular to the tax exemption status. So the state, Minnesota requires that we have separate contracts for a tax exemption, one for material, one for labor, with the city of Chisholm. So that's what you have in front of you tonight, is separate contracts for that would represent the tax exemption status. So we estimated that the tax exemption status is probably a savings of close to between $300,000 to $400,000 with the project. So obviously it's in the best interest of the city to pursue that tax exemption. So again, those are the contracts that you have in front of you. The contract forms are fairly standard AIA, A133 contract forms. So there's nothing that's pretty, I would say, untypical of those contracts. And hopefully if there's there's any other questions, we can address those. But I guess in high-level summary, that's kind of where we're at.
Brian, have you reviewed all the contracts?
I have
They're just standard?
fairly standard. AIA, fortunately for me, is fairly easy to get through because the way that they're drafted in the formats, it's easy to track changes that are made. And in going through these agreements, I didn't identify anything that I believed would place the city at an unreasonable risk.
I think probably the biggest, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but really the biggest thing to be addressed between AIA is to separate material labor, because the AIA 133 starts out as material and labor contract. So to be able to change the verbiage language to separate the two out is probably the biggest issue to go through, which I think with those contracts in front of you, we've accomplished that. And we're certainly ready to proceed with the contract with the city and move the project forward.
So Stephanie, like, these things have tons of blanks. Those are all, we know what goes everywhere on all of these?
You're still draft.
Yeah, they're still at draft form, so once we approve, then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be a series of exhibits that are attached to the contracts that we'll continue to develop. One will be our billable staff rates. So we're open and transparent with the city on billable rates. We'll have a equipment rental rate schedule as well. That'll be an exhibit. We'll have a project schedule. That'll be an exhibit. So there'll be a couple of exhibits that will be attached to those contracts once they get through the kind of draft format that you see in front of you.
So what are we doing tonight? We're just looking for motion to approve the contracts with the exhibits that are attached now. Marty?
I do have one question. I believe it is in the labor document, page 11. It talks about your construction manager's fee, so $41,900. The dates show it commencing October 24 and ending May 1. Is that, I guess I'm a little perplexed by that start date, and should that be adjusted, and does that affect the overall project schedule if it's, it's going to obviously not start till maybe 2 months after it's what's shown here, it's going to be a December start rather than an October start. Does it affect the overall schedule? It's on page 11 of the second handout, or the second draft, A133.
Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, I'm on what I think is page 11. I'm not seeing that, but
It's under,
so
it's Article 5, under the construction manager's fee on the bottom of the page.
Yeah, so it says, so the pre-construction starting on October 24th is really when we started working on it.
Oh, okay.
For the pre-construction portion. Yeah, but as far as the construction is concerned, that is at May 1st. So if you look at that last line, it says pre-construction duration commencing on October 24th and finishing on May 1st, 2023. And then once we hit May 1st, that's when the construction duration starts.
Okay, all right, so there's no issue with that October 24th date. I just wanted to make sure there was no concern about that date.
Yep, fine on our end.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So council, I guess we're looking for motion to adopt these contracts so we can get to work.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Marty, second by Cheyenne. Is there other things we need to do here? Or is that it?
That's it.
Tonight?
Jim, were you able to look at all these?
I'm not the attorney, so. They're pretty much standard forms of contracts.
Well, guys, we're excited to get going on this thing, and I know we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to be leaving December 31st. You're going to have Mayor Lance here and a new council person, but I'm excited for the project. I hope we're able to get it all done. It's been a 4-year project for me, and it's been 114 years for the city, so I'm thrilled you guys are on board you appear to bring a lot of experience. You brought up a lot of things that concerns early, so should have had you here
Yeah, we're very excited as well. I know right after that, Stephanie gave us the news that we were selected, just hearing of the path that has been taken, the years of waiting and everything else, we're excited to finally, bring this project to the city and get this thing completed. And so we're equally as excited to be on board, and we're just we're looking forward to being in person the next council meeting, pending weather, obviously. And again, just trying to, we're real excited just to move these projects forward and work for the city of Chisholm.
Alrighty, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council, we have motion and support to approve the contracts. If there's no further discussion. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, first item under myself, I see Lloyd Show reapplied for the EDA. I know in the past when we've had this happen, we've actually advertised instead. I think Cheyenne's asked to do that a couple times. It wouldn't matter to me. Lloyd's a great individual on the EDA, but if you'd like to advertise.
We did advertise.
Oh, did we advertise on this
Well,
one?
it's posted on
Oh,
the
I didn't
website.
know this was one of them. Okay, sorry. Only applicant then? All right, the motion, I would make a motion to accept that one then.
I'll
Sorry.
make that motion.
I dropped the ball on that. Thank you. Do you have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, April. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, probably should ask you that, eh?
Okay.
All right, so at the last meeting, we appointed Jed Holloway to Central and Range Sanitary Sewer District. It turns out we did it completely wrong. That's my fault. I found out after. We actually have to adopt a resolution, as you have in your packet. So for housekeeping purposes, I'm looking for motion to adopt Resolution 1222-110, which officially appoints Jed Holloway to the Central and Range Sanitary Sewer District for a 3-year term, which is required by the Sanitary Sewer District.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second for that.
Support?
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Schedule reorganizational meeting, January 3rd, 2023. That is per city charter, first Tuesday in January. I do not believe the time is important. I won't be at it. Mayor Lance will be running the meeting, but I'm assuming 5:30, 5 o'clock, whatever the council, they're relatively quick, whatever you guys want to do. Make the motion and we'll set it.
I'll make a motion to schedule the organizational meeting January 3rd, 2023 at 5:30 p.m.
5:30. January 3rd, 2023 at 5:30. Is there a second for that?
Second?
Thank you, Cheyenne. Thank you, Marty. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Council, as you know, by the end of the year, we have to set our final levy. I wanted to have a budget meeting. What was the other thing we thought with the planning commission, eh?
So there'll be a budget meeting, the planning commission, and set the levy.
Closed session or labor.
Oh yeah, and add closed session to labor contract.
Do we want it? We wouldn't be televised at this anyway, so it's not going to be important unless somebody wanted to come listen. The truth and taxation we skipped over. Can we just provide that to our folks and maybe get it on TV or something?
We can put it on our website.
On our website? Is that adequate, council?
Eileen's presentation.
Eileen's presentation?
Yeah, I mean, if she wanted to make a recording of it, you could put it on social media too. for people
Yeah, I
to
think that's what we'd have to do, right?
And then it's a recording of it. I don't know.
It may be a while, but
Yeah. Okay, so our special meeting. So final budget meeting, we'll include levy because it'll give us the opportunity to approve the levy if we want to at that meeting. We still have the 28th if we didn't. Joint meeting with Planning Commission. What was the other one?
And that's closed meeting.
And then we gotta have a
Closed
closed
session.
meeting to
Labor
discuss our ASME labor negotiation. So, you suggested Tuesday? You thought next Tuesday? Let me look at, God, I should have looked at my calendar.
20th. 20th.
If it's in the day, I'll make it work. So council, look at setting that meeting for, it works for me, I don't know. Why the 20th? Just because it's the best day for you?
It's the only day we're open.
Okay, so, I'm in. Look at setting that meeting for December 20th, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 5:30? 5:30, somebody make motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne, second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Further discussion?
I don't know if I'll be able to make it, just an FYI. I coach basketball, so we have a game that day.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, you got Matt Reed's letter from SCH with regard to, how he feels about our request. I'll give you my opinion. Not everybody's going to agree probably, but I don't know that I've ever seen an engineering firm actually say, we feel we did make a few mistakes and we feel we should give you some money back. I think the letter actually helps us with some of our claim against Mesaba Bituminous that we have yet to finalize. So to me, it's okay. That's my opinion. I'm not going to push the council one way or the other, but to me, I would vote to accept it right now.
Matt, just to be clear, the amount that you're reimbursing is $3,827.50, or is it the $5,086?
$5,086.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was.
And then please note that, the 6,700 that we felt was never built, so I don't know, council, we would, based on the fact that we did request a higher number, we would have to, make a motion to accept his offer, the offer from SCH, if you want to move on. If you don't, I don't know where we go from there, but, so I would entertain a motion to accept it.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Is there a second for that?
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Marty.
our staff went through a lot of effort and time. We put a lot of thought into our offer of $25,000, and if you subtract the $6,700, which that's fine, and it's an $18,300 request, they countered with $5,000. Not even close. I would hope that they would have stepped up a little bit more. And I don't know, I think it's frankly a poor offer on their behalf. It's not even a third of what the city spent a lot of time and effort on trying to come up with what our issues were. And so that's my thought.
Thank you, Marty. Marty, I would agree with you on one hand, and then on the other hand, I feel that I think some of it may actually fall in the liquidated damages gray area, what we're trying to get from Mesaba Bituminous, and that's kind of why I'm
It's two separate
I'm
issues,
better with it.
Two separate issues.
Well, it's not
Contract
because the
and-
liquidated damages covers a lot of problems. But yeah, I think, to me, this could be done a lot better. I hope the council, we learn something here going forward. I think we should get the, I'll go back to, I think the inspector, any projects you do, you should get them at the podium like you used to come, Marty, and talk to us. Give us direct updates, even if Jim's here. Get some direct updates so we can see. I think it does a lot. But yeah, if I could say anything to SCH, you're going to have to keep an eye on your inspectors because they got to do a little better job on watching the stuff go on the ground because some of it shouldn't have happened. So. All right, we have a motion to support to accept the offer from SCH. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Motion.
What's the vote? We have a roll call?
We have yourself and Cheyenne voted no. So it's a 3-2. April, you did vote aye?
I voted aye.
Okay. So that motion did pass 3-2.
She made the motion to.
You don't have to vote yes for a motion that you make. It's just to make it so that you can discuss it.
Could we just get a roll call vote, please?
That's fine. Susan, will you take a roll call vote on that, please?
Councillor Halverson?
No.
Councillor Michelaraha?
No.
Councillor Bachman?
Yes.
Councillor Lance, absent. Councillor Baki?
Yes.
Mayor Champa?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that motion did pass. All right, last item under myself, emergency COVID-19 provision. It expires 12/31/2022. Says what it says. Do you want to extend it? My recommendation would not to extend it. I don't know. I would end it at this point. Leave that up to the council. Look for a motion to, it'll expire on its own if we don't have a motion to extend it. So if somebody wants a motion to extend it, we'll have to decide how long we're going to make it. So unless I hear a motion, I'll move on. That'll be fine, Brian. It'll expire on its own.
Correct. It sunsets by its own terms.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we do not extend it, that it ends December 31st, 2022.
You don't need to do that.
Oh,
It'll expire on its own.
all right.
That's okay?
If I don't have to, that's fine. I just figured one or the other.
We'll move on. So I'll take Adam's item. Adam's sick tonight. Resolution 1222-111. It's a resolution, Board of Firefighters training, reimbursement. It is a reimbursement, right?
Mm-hmm.
For of $7,800 for training.
Motion.
The dates were there somewhere, from July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 23.
Second.
So motion to adopt resolution 1222-111 by Travis, seconded by April. Further discussion? It's nice to get that money back.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Marty. Extensive research.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is only informational at this time. If you had a chance to read my memo and review the cost estimates and the maps. I believe, for some reason, I think some of these cost estimates are in here twice, but regardless, there's a map of the watershed. And the green boundary is the watershed boundary. The yellow and orange lines are the storm sewer pipes. It's not clear over at the ball field how that all goes or where it goes. It is part of the watershed. It's not very well mapped. We know there's catch basins on the parking lot. We know there's catch basins around the field. I don't know that we know exactly where the piping goes or how it goes, but regardless, and we've had flooding historically, not just this year. Of course, this year was a very, very bad year for flooding there. But when the city developed these areas, they made low-lying areas that don't really drain well. They're basically a bowl. In front of Tracy's house there on 2nd Avenue, on 4th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue, and then down at 5th Street on 1st Avenue. There are storm pipes there, but if the pipes fill up with water, as they did this summer many times, they have no more capacity, so the streets flood. And we saw, obviously, what happened this summer, a couple of occasions, especially July 31st. But this has happened in the past. This isn't the first time. And in looking at this, I did find that there used to be a second pipe going towards the lake on 4th Street, but it was removed in 1995 when they did the project. Because it looks to me like it could have been a combined sewer where it was storm and sanitary together. And that was part of the correction, was you don't want combined sewers phased out in most cities over the years. So, and that may explain why we have less capacity there now than we did in the past. So, what I looked at is the lowest cost option to relieve flooding on 2nd Avenue if the residents are willing and if the city is interested. We could create just a drainage swale between the two houses. We would require an easement, and so it wouldn't be really worth diving into this until we do talk to the residents. We look at our budget. Maybe this is something we just put on our capital list. It's just only for discussion at this point. But the maps that I show, this one is the best one to look at. It would be just a swale between the two houses from 2nd Avenue to the alley that will take any excess water from the street and divert it down basically a grass line swale, or it could have maybe some timber retaining structures on it, and pave the alley, and basically would divert excess water between the houses and up to 4th Street. Instead of allowing it to pool up in the yard right now, and it pools up and pools up and pools up, and there's actually some timbers there now, it has to build up about, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet in the street before it actually starts, but then it just flows around all the houses. I mean, you saw the pictures on the news, and they were presented to us. So the intent there will be to just lower that floodwater elevation as much as we can with this option. It's not going to stop the rain, it's not going to stop the runoff, but it may control it and lower that elevation by a few feet. So that's that option. All that would do was essentially send that down to 4th Street, and as you can see from the watershed map and what we know from history is that area can't handle, that pipe can't handle large runoff either, so it floods that low area on 4th Street until it fills that whole valley, and then it flows around the corner on 1st Avenue, and it flows down to 5th Street, and there is another swale and storm sewer pipes at 5th Street, and that's where the majority of the water went this summer. It actually, I'm sure the pipe was full, couldn't take any more water, so it pooled up in the low area. And I remember Larry showed me video of all the water running down 1st Avenue and turning and going on 5th Street towards the lake. And there is a small swale between those two houses where the majority of the water went. If we were going to correct that, that's the second cost estimate. If we were to add another pipe going to the lake on 4th Street, that's the second price, and it's closer to $500,000 to $600,000. If we add it together, the two projects are closer to $700,000, but it would provide significant relief for all these areas. if the easement is not possible, doesn't come through, we'd end up probably having to put in a new parallel pipe entirely from 2nd Avenue down 4th Street to the lake, and that is, the last cost estimate is closer to $1 million. So I did this just for discussion, get the conversation started, get it added to our capital improvement list. And maybe there are grants, maybe there's grant money for flood relief, I don't know, it's worth investigating. And we'll have to see going forward how we can, what to do, how to pay for it, when to do it. And to try and update the situation up there.
So Marty, you can solve the problem, no question, no question. You know, we did it here.
Yeah.
We did it here. You know, you had, I think it was more like about 8 feet of water on this side when it happened. It was bad, you know. It took, I think, 2 60-inch lines the whole way to do it. You know, I think if you service that thing with a couple of good 42s, you know, in that area, or even maybe a little bit bigger, and you got some good straight flow out of there, it would solve the problem. But, you know, it's probably between $1 million and $2 million project, and the guy's going to have to find some funding. But I think, you know, doing it right would probably be the right way. Maybe if there is a way to alleviate something with an easement, maybe that's a short-term fix. I don't know,
like
but
it's a low cost.
Yeah,
relatively low cost.
but I certainly wouldn't say, you know, the council shouldn't look into it further, because at some point it's going to happen again. What happened this year? Hopefully it's not next year or any. You know, it was a substantial storm, the one, but I mean, there is nothing saying it couldn't happen next year. There ain't nothing saying it couldn't happen 5 times next year. But it could go 100 years before it happens again too. So, but it's a good project, and you could solve the problem for them, no question. You can get the water out of there. So, all right. Informational. Thank you for all your work on that. It was interesting to see the watershed, because that is probably how they figure pipe sizes, looking at that view right there. So
I estimated what the full capacity of the pipe is, and it matched very closely to, we were benchmark engineering to design it, pretty much the same number. And I can't tell exactly how many inches of rain or what kind of storm it was, but it looks like it was designed for a couple of inches of rain. And we know we had about 4.
Yeah.
That day, and was it July 31st that happened, I believe?
Yeah.
And just looking at the videos I've seen and stuff, it does look like the flow was about doubled. Twice as much rain and twice as much flow, but of course it was flowing around the houses and through the yards because it overwhelmed the pipe system.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for your efforts on that. That's phenomenal work.
all right, informational at this point, council, but something to think about going forward. Okay, council, so we're looking for a motion at this point, the regular meeting. We've completed all the items. If there's nothing else, we're gonna look for a motion to recess to close session. We're gonna discuss 319 3rd Avenue Northwest pursuant to Minnesota statute 13D-03, which is receive attorney-client privileged information. So look for a motion to go to a closed session.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, so we'll give just a few minutes to get the council chambers cleared out, and we will convene our executive session.